Shalom, Kol Holo Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Raha Hakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name is Barad Debar, coming to you from the GMS campus, Indianapolis. And to all those listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom, especially to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Today is just a short video. Just had some thoughts pondering on the elect of the children of Israel, and starting with the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 21, and it says, and this again, this is spiritual thoughts for today, and it reads, it says, "For then shall great tribulation there be, then shall be great tribulation." Okay, for then shall be, excuse me, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, not ever shall be. So we are are in the time of Jacob's trouble, and as you can see, starting with the deportations of the Hispanic tribes, and of course ICE, and many other communities. Uh, and then you also have Trump, of course, taking Venezuela. Now he's looking at the Cubans and the Mexicans, so-called, because these are many of those that I just named. Those people are the Israelites. Of course, you have other nations and other people that are mixed in and scattered within those nations, just as the same as you have those that are like example, like in the land of Israel, though it's predominantly Edomites. People of the children of Israel are also scattered amongst them. So, of course, as you can see, Trump, has his eyes set on uh, lands that are predominantly, um, you know, and predominantly occupied. Let's just say it that way, by the Israelites. And of course, because again, when it comes down to the leadership, that's a whole nother subject, you know, because we do have a thing where they set up puppet leaders and things of that nature. And of course, as the scriptures talk about how he would heap to himself, all people and, all nations and all people, of course, he's looking at the resources, the minerals, like Venezuela, the oil, the gold, and other minerals and resources, just the same as these other places. So, getting to the point, you know, um, we know that Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, talks about how the devil, Satan, the physical counterpart of Satan, Esau, Edom, it says, is coming down with great wrath, because we know it that he has but a short time. And so as we see him, also spreading his army thin, send him out to these different places, he's making um, moves as far as Iran is concerned. Um, it's coming to a point where, like it tells us in, I believe it's Psalm 73, where he said is put him in slippery places, where he's going to fall eventually with all the moves that he's trying to make. Um, he's eventually going to fall. Like it tells us in the scriptures, he that diggeth a pit, okay, um, it should roll there upon him. Or Galatians 6, verse 6 and 7. Be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. All right. Um, where Obadiah mentions, it says, the day of the Lord is going to be upon all the heathen, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Roughly paraphrasing. So going back into this is Matthew 24, verse 21. For then shall be for then shall be great tribulation. No, it's a tongue twister, for some reason. That such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, not ever shall be, because again, this is leading up with all the Yahweh Shai said that there will be a fire already kindled when he returned. So there's going to already be, and we're leading up because they're moving fast and they're trying to get to this ultimate push for this new world enterprise, say it that way, where they are looking to have everyone implanted with a micro C hip, MOTB. If you've listened to any of the men, starting with our head apostles of GMS, you've heard um, these terms, which goes back to Revelations verses 13. And but of course, the elect of the children of Israel are not going to take it. So that's where I want to get into. Again, this is spiritual thoughts. These are thoughts that just came to mind just now. But let's get the next verse. It says, "And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved." And in those days, and as we're in today, right? At the time Yahweh Shai was speaking, he's speaking of the time that we're in now. And the days have been going very quick, very, very, very fast. We're now in like the third week or so, or second into the third, of January. It moves fairly quick. Actually, ever since it's been moving fairly fast. And actually, if you do a quick search, a Google search, there has been scientists that have said that the Earth seems to be moving a lot faster. And they may say, by a millisecond or or whatever as far as its speed, but still, the Most High word is still being true in the matter. Okay, we look up and we're already, you know, in close to the middle of the winter, you know, and then before you know it, we'll be right into the spring. And as the process of all of these things, since Trump has been in office, we looked at the first 20 days as being something, but we are looking at this next, him starting this what they call the new year, with a bang by um, taking over the leader, capturing the leader and his wife, Venezuela, which was a very big move, like Apostle Tahar has said, and and he's quoted someone, but I've heard him say it first, personally. He says, well, I say personally, just from his video, he says, um, some things happen, it takes years, and some years and some things happen in one day, um, that is that takes a lot of years. And I had the thought and I mangled it, but pretty much, let me see if I can rephrase it in another way. Um, but pretty much, there's a lot of things that we watch to happen that takes a very long time to happen. We got to watch it, the process of it. But then there's things that happen like this Venezuela thing that will take a lot of years just to even correct because of just this one thing that happened so quickly. You know, it actually created a storm, um, that there's going to be consequences because of it. You know, other nations are now gearing up and saying, "Look, well, if he could do that to them, then we could set up, our um, artillery and our weaponry and be ready in case he's now speaking to come against us." Like brother posted in the chat, Cuba. How Cuba, you know, you know, maybe his president or their leader, has also made mention like, look, they're ready. Come if you want to. So you're gonna have all these other nations, like it tells us in Joel, they're beating their plowshares um, um, into weaponry, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, so so they're gearing up, and we're in that time, and it's moving fast. Before we know it, there could be that implementation, and that third world war could be in the process, and Yahweh Shai could be returning, with the nuclear missiles being shot and the fire coming from the chariots on high. Um, and like it tells us in Romans chapter 13, verse 11, it says it's about time that we wake out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than when we believe. So we think that we're close. We're very much closer according to the time frame of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And this is a beautiful time to be living in, especially if you have this knowledge. Okay. And it says, Matthew 24, verse 22, and except those days be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. It says, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And these days have been shortened for the elect, okay? Because there's going to be, again, great tribulation, you know, uh, being affected, those that we were friends with in the world, family members, could be those very close to us within our household. Uh, we have to have our minds prepared that these things could actually happen. Men, just like in Acts, men going to jail, being taken in jail, men being brought before the counselors and rulers of this land, men being beheaded, men being beheaded for the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, which is actually tells us in the book of Sirach, it says, strive unto the truth until death, and he shall fight for us. All right. The enemy again coming in like a flood. They're talking about ICE agents hitting, going door to door, and upon the American citizens. And like I said, when they come down like a flood, tells us in Isaiah that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai shall lift up a standard. He's going to make some way for us to get out of these things, miracles that are going to happen. The elect are going to eat, going to drink during the time of the famine. They're going to have the shelter and protection. But of course, it tells us, wait ye upon me, said the Lord, until he rise up to the prey. So we're going to have to wait and be patient. All right. Like it tells us, and make not haste in the time of trouble. And these are the things that the elect will be meditating their minds on, waiting and knowing that at the very moment, the Lord will be there. Like it tells us, it says, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. And there's a saying that, is in the song with Ja Rule, and I liken this unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. He says, I'm not always there when you call, which he is, but I'm always on time. So we're calling on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai in the name of Yahweh, which his name means he exists, he is to be. Okay. And Yahushai, he saves, he delivers. And in the time in which it is set for the elect member to be saved and delivered, Yahushai is going to come in the perfect time. All right. And so let's get these last two scriptures. This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 27, verse through 30. It says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Okay, this is what the elect will be doing. He says, and I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish. Neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. So those that belong unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, they were not going to stray away. They're going to follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. All right. And he's going to, as a great shepherd, he's going to lead the flock into a way that's prosperous. Okay. Like it tells us, John chapter 10, verse 10, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. He says, but I come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. So then we read next verse. Okay. He says, my Father, which gave them me, is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. So what much more? Like he said, he sent these men out into the world, and they said, they that heareth you heareth me, and they that heareth me heareth him who sent me, which is Yahweh. And these are the ones that the Lord, that no one can take out of his hands. Like he tells us in Revelations, there's when it comes to knowledge, wisdom, and many other things, but there's doors that cannot be opened or shut without him giving the authority. All right. So those who receive this knowledge, it comes from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Those who come in this truth and leave this truth, it's by the hand of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and no one can change it. Okay, so we just pray that we are of the elect, that no one plucks us from out of his hand, which is the point, that we stay firm and rooted and grounded in this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because the time is coming where it's going to get very rocky, and we want to make sure that we are definitely, fortified and settled with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So, continuously praying, fasting, and of course those who are of the school of the prophets, making sure that they're amongst the brotherhood and being fed themselves. So this is the last scripture. This is the book of John, chapter 7, 17, verse 17 through 10. He says, now they have known that all things whatsoever thou hast given me are of thee. So everything in which Yahweh has given, Yahweh Shai, it's of the Most High. Okay, these are the precious jewels. When Yahweh Shai said, when I come to make up my jewels, all right, those that are going through the fire like gold is tried, going through the fire of adversity, like Joel, like Isaiah also mentions, he will make a man as precious as the gold of Ophir. All right, these men who the eyes of the Lord are watching and taking care of. All right, it says, for I have given unto them the words which thou gavest me. And what are the words? The words that leads us to everlasting life. All right, he's given us the comforter. All right, even the spirit of truth, and they have received them and have known surely that I came out from them, and they have believed that thou didst send me. Okay, because he tells us later on in that John chapter, starting at verse 15 about 20, how maybe I'll get it because I don't want to butcher that. It says, and I pray for them, and I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. So just the point there, he makes a reference in Paul, and always connected with Paul, where he says those that also hear and believe in their works. When you read further in John 17, around 15 to 21. So it's those who's doing the work and those who are listening and hearing the work. Okay. And he says, I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me. Because, and when you read again further on in John, he talks about, this, he's not praying for the world, because there's different meanings of the world. You got a age, which Esau, his time to rule, this is his age, and then you have an eon, okay, which that goes, let's actually get it. Didn't mean to get into that, but see if I can pull it up. Let's see. We'll get it here. John 10. Okay, where was I at? John 17 and 10. 17. And it would come up like that, okay? All right, Salakia. So, of course, you got two meanings of world. This particular world, it says, while I was with them in the world, okay? So that's, a different world, Okay, you have the eon, and then this one, that world will deal with the age. Okay, a time. Right now we're in the age and time of Esau Edom. Okay, but just to finish the point, he says, but for them which thou hast given me, verse 9, for they are thine. He says, and all mine are thine, and all thine are mine, and I am glorified in them. So of course, this is why we give all praise and honor to Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai. So Salaki on that. Maybe I'll do another lesson, bring out that world or different worlds. Because again, when you look even in the Hebrew, it tells it worlds, plural as well. So that just to give a point that there are many meanings of worlds. But anyway, hope that this lesson was edifying, uplifting, exhorting to the elect body of true believers. Before I end, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered across the four corners of the globe. Shalom.